Our second guest of the evening is Legacy Fighting Alliance fighter Kendall. Is that Carnahan?
Carnahan, yes.
Kendall? Okay. He's slated to take on Tyler Shinn June 30th at LFA 15. Kendall, how are we feeling tonight, brother?
Hey, feeling good, man. Wish I could eat a little bit better food, but I'm feeling good.
The weight cut, man. It's your guys' first job is probably the hardest one. I'm sure you guys would rather be training than cutting weight. It's something that it's always rough on you guys. I know most of you guys stay within 10 to 15 pounds of your fight weight, but you also have guys out there. We're looking at basically we're looking at Johnny Hendricks fall from grace right about now. We've seen this guy. He was the welterweight champion at one point in time. He's now missed weight 4 times in 2 different weight classes. Also had 2 other fights canceled due to medical reasons, due to the weight cuts. We've seen it's a problem in the sport. We've seen both UFC and Bellator have fighters miss weight. It's one of the things a lot of people have been saying for a while. They need to add a few more weight classes across the board, particularly in between 155 and 170 pounds and 170 and 185 pounds is always the ones I hear the most. We'll get to your fight in a sec, but talking about how you want you're wanting to eat better, not basically chewing on ice or having these these super small proportion meals to get you down to the proper weight. What do you think? You think it's something that a lot of promotions should think about adding weight classes in between some of these divisions that there's only a 5 to 10 pound difference?
That might help a little, and I'm okay with that, but it's not going to solve the problem. Like, let's take a big welterweight, someone who fights at 170. Let's say that we add some weight classes like they've talked about, and we do away with the 170. We have a 65 and a 75. This guy's already a big welterweight, but is he thinking like, I'm going to go up to 75, that's what he should do, and be a little smaller than I was for the weight, or is he going to be thinking, I'm a huge 165er, I want to be the biggest 165er? I think guys are still going to push the limits, and it could even encourage some people to even drop lower. I don't know. There's got to be an answer. It might help a little, but I don't think it's going to be the answer to add weight classes. I think guys will just push the limit even more.
Yeah, you might, but also I think it would prevent a lot of these situations where you have guys that are cutting weight improperly to the point where fights are getting canceled more often now than at least in my memory that it's happened over the last 10 years. It just seemed like a lot over the last 2 years or so that we see fighters fall out due to illness because of the weight cut.
Yeah, I think it could help a little, but I think some way monitoring how hydrated fighters are throughout the cut will be better. I think ONE FC might have had something like that where they constantly are monitoring their fighters leading up to a fight, but I think it would have to be something very thorough like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you're seeing, we've seen the California State Athletic Commission is kind of implementing new rules and procedures for the fighters, which I think is important. I think hopefully we'll start seeing some more commissions follow suit. We'll see. There has to be a way to, I'm not going to say that it's going to be a cure-all, but just to the point where guys are safely getting down to the weights they need to. Meanwhile, you have Mike Dolce and Lou Gordano basically trading barbs on social media because you have a lot of weight management specialists, nutritionists, whatever. Don't always have the answer. Everybody is different. Everyone loses weight differently. It's not an exact science, no matter how much everyone wants to feel about it. It's kind of the one thing I think that needs to be taken care of, because I think a lot of times a lot of the guys who kind of draw themselves out a little bit more, I think that's when a lot of these fighters are in the most danger to be hurt. No matter what, tapping yourself down that far sometimes, regardless of, how well you bounce back the next day, you're still not always going to be 100% stepping in that cage. And, with what we're seeing with, head injuries, not just in MMA, but through all sports that have contact like that, it's dangerous when you're dehydrating yourself like that when you're competing. So it's something that I don't think there's an exact science to say, this is the right way to do it or this is the right way to do it, but it's something that I think that we all can learn to get better from. From media understanding it to fighters understanding it. There's going to be finally it'll get to a point where we can figure things out a little bit better to kind of prevent some fights falling out, guys getting sick, etc. But till now, we're still going to be dealing with ways how we always have, I guess. But now,
man, sometimes gotta get better. We're gonna start seeing more people die.
Yeah, like we don't want another situation like what happened when you were saying talking about ONE FC. We got to remember that kid died cutting weight for ONE FC a few years ago. So it's some things that we have to really pay a little bit more attention to. A lot of people were a few years ago was complaining that steroids was the worst thing that was killing our sport. And at the end of the day, I kind of just disagree. I kind of felt that the rapid extreme weight cutting was the thing that is hurting people the most. Some people may think I'm nuts, but that's just the way I feel about it. But now.
Yeah, I agree. It's a serious issue, and it's not an easy fix.
Definitely not an easy fix. Now, you got your fight coming up with Tyler, man. So fighting for LFA. Seeing how well they've been doing since the the merger between Legacy and RFA. You think that platform is arguably the best one to kind of help you get to the next level, regardless if you want to go to the UFC or Bellator?
Yeah, absolutely. Once they merge, there's no question. As of now, I believe it's the best route to try to get noticed and get to the UFC. I did see that Dana White's coming out with a new contender series, and how that's going to compare to LFA. That'll be interesting as well. But for right now, yeah, LFA is definitely the show to be on if you're trying to get to the next level.
Now, go ahead, George. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, Kendall. I was just looking at your record, before we went on air here, and
you right there, George? Oh, he dropped. Oh man, he was looking at your record and then he he ran away. All right, he's gonna call back here in a second. Oh man, you gotta love live radio. Yeah, here it goes. All right. So you were looking at his record.
Yeah, I was looking. Sorry about that. Hold on a second. Okay, sorry about that. Little miscommunication. No, but what I was saying, Kendall, is I was looking at your record, and I was just impressed at you being such a young age and being undefeated as you are. And I was going to say, going into this fight with Tyler, do you feel like there will be any sense of, I guess, lack of focus, or are you worried about the fact of, you've been pretty much flawless to this point? Are you worried about, as far as from a mental side, about Tyler getting in the way of that? Like, is anything getting in the way of your focus, is what I'm trying to say, of continuing your winning streak?
Absolutely not. Actually, this is the most focused I've ever been. I'm on a 13-month layoff. They put me in front of me, the hardest opponent I've ever had to face. He's got a lot of experience on me. My pedigree is wrestling, but he's a way more accomplished wrestler than I am. I was on the ground so far. This dude's a brown belt on the ground and then a former Oklahoma State wrestler. So it's a big challenge. It's kept me very motivated. And my best performance will come out on Friday.
So,
go ahead, George.
No. I was saying that's awesome. You answered my question.
Now when I set this up, Shinn Carnahan,
cool.
reached out to me, asked me that to have you on. Is that who you're working with, or as far as training goes? Like, are you up there in the mountains? How did one, how are you two connected, and and where is the actual training going on right now?
Right, so I actually live in Austin, Texas, and I train over here in Austin. And Shane's in Colorado. The way I got linked up with Shane was actually, I think it was an article, some article I read, but it was just on one of those MMA websites. I forgot which one, but it was just an article saying he was starting up a management company, and I knew at this point in my career I needed to get a manager, and I wasn't sure who to go with, and I could just tell by, just by following Shane's career, I knew he'd be a really good manager. He knows the game inside and out, and I feel like he wouldn't be the type to try to take advantage of me and take, get money out of me and all that. And I don't know, just had a good feeling about him, and he's the one who got me this fight. So far, I'm very pleased with him.
Now, it's funny you mentioned that the reason why you picked Shane, because it is the fact that he is a fighter and he's been in their cage, that you kind of feel that he's one of these guys that will put your best interest above dollars and cents, like most management companies do. Like we're seeing Nate Diaz is going through something with his former management team where they're showing him trying to get $1 million out of him for the Conor McGregor purse. So, obviously something with on there. Is that something that you kind of feel that working with a guy like Shane, you don't have to worry about him trying to screw you over, trying to kind of pull every penny out of you that he can?
Yeah, exactly. He's what I'm trying to get up to now. He's already been through this whole process. He can reflect back on his career, know what the things he wished he would have done or would have done differently. He can apply that as a manager, and I wanted to deal with someone who's actually been a fighter. It's one thing to get a business person who can be a manager, but at the end of the day, I wanted my manager to not just be like a business relation. I needed almost like a friend too, and like someone I can actually relate to, someone who's And he's a perfect guy to relate to. You know, he's already done what I'm trying to do, and I was a big fan of him when he was a fighter, and it just made sense.
Yeah, it's a good guy to look up to, man. I mean, he, was, seriously inches and seconds away from, being the guy to beat the brakes off of Brock Lesnar and win the heavyweight title. Still mad at him for knocking my boy out, Frank Mir. I got massive love for Frank Mir. I don't know what it is. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, and always had a liking for Frank. It was so torn when they announced that fight, but I'm kind of digressing there. But yeah, Shane's an awesome dude, and I'm glad to see that he's find other avenues outside of fighting. That you see a lot of guys kind of hang in there too long. We just seen what happened to Tim Hegg here. Within the last 2 weeks. Tough situation, and seeing a guy like Shane who comes from that era, was able to get out and do what he needed to do.
Yeah, I agree. And then he can still, got out before he took any serious, brain damage or none of that stuff. So yeah, it's always nice to see when guys can walk away at a good time too. And then he has shown some interest in coming back to the sport, I think, which that'd be interesting. But yeah, I agree.
I mean, you see it a lot. It's it's kind of like the purple elephant in the room anymore, but I mean, the fact that we see what happened to Jordan Parsons last year. The unfortunate situation of him being killed by the drunk driver. But when they checked him out, the kid was only 25 and had CTE. He's only been a fighter for so long. With seeing what's happened with NFL football players and what's potentially looking like it, it also kind of transfers over to MMA just as well as it does boxing. But, is that something that concerns you, moving forward in the career when and if you get into these big brawls and wars, that the kind of damage it puts on your body? Are you, I say it's a lot of these guys, man. I really hope a lot of you guys have backup plans outside of just fighting. Shane, lucky enough has, he has degrees. He doesn't have to be involved in MMA, but he does it because he loves it and really does have a love for it. And thankfully, he's only been in one real war that I could think of, the one with JDS. So he doesn't have to really worry about that head trauma. But I mean, man, it's got to be something that's in the back of your mind. Seeing everything that goes on with contact sports.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about it a lot. I do actually have a college degree as well. I'm not trying to put it to use right now because my whole focus is training and fighting. But if I need to fall back on it, I will. But I feel like it's a sport where you gotta train carefully too. You fight a few times a year, but you train, almost every day. So a lot of guys just spar too hard, don't know when to train easy, rest, and you gotta train smart. And then in your fights, my goal is to win and get in the fight, win and get out as quick as I can. I'm all about taking the amount of damage as I have to. I think I've hit. You can tell them the number. I've been hit probably 3 or 4 times significantly in all my fights, including amateur. And I've barely been hit, but this is one of those careers where you got to get in and get out, get in, work extremely hard, get out at a young age, and move on because brain damage is a real thing. We're more and more.
Yeah, it definitely is a real thing. You have to know when your time's up. You can't really hang around in the sport too long. And that's all I got to ask you. I know a lot of people hate on Conor, but he's kind of he's kind of changed a lot of the things. If you're Conor McGregor, win, lose or draw, would you get out of MMA after the Mayweather fight? We already know what he's gotten his last handful of fight is probably been the largest purses ever in UFC history, probably even MMA history. And seeing how much he's going to get out of that fight, he has other opportunities. He turned down a role in the last Triple H movie that they want, or Triple X movie, I'm sorry, that they wound up giving to Michael Bisping because he wanted the second fight with Diaz. He has opportunities outside of MMA where he could, still kind of be in that spotlight and not really have to take the damage on his body. If you were in that situation, roles are reversed. You're Conor McGregor. You're about to get $100 million. Would you walk away, win, lose, or draw?
Well, I don't know what his mindset is, but he's only 28, I think. He's in he's in like the prime. He's still in his prime.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know. Does he want to just all about the money and all that, or how much does he care about his fighting legacy? Another thing, I don't think he has much of a chance or really any chance versus Mayweather. But let's say he won. Now, if he wins, now I can see him walking away because two-division UFC champion and you just beat the greatest boxer of all time. Then what? You don't have anything else to prove. Then he's going to go down as the greatest ever of combat sports. I don't think anyone could ever top that. So if he beat Mayweather, I don't see any reason to continue.
There might be an asset, but you'll have people saying what if about certain things here. You have to look at the fact that, say, if he did walk away and he did beat Floyd Mayweather, and that would probably be the greatest accomplishment in combat sports over the last 25 years. That would be a safe argument. But you have to go back and look at the fact that he has never defended a single title that he has ever won in any weight class. Not for Cage Warriors, not in the UFC, and then obviously he wouldn't if he beat Floyd. I mean, I'm sure Floyd would want to run it back and talk him into it, but I wouldn't be able to see him get the strike lightning in a bottle twice. It all depends on how that fight plays out. I'm with you that I'm not going to say he doesn't have a chance because Conor McGregor finds ways to make things happen. I'm not going to say that he's not going to touch Floyd. I'm not going to say that, but I also think that he's a fish out of water where this is what Floyd Mayweather's been doing since he was a baby, and Conor doesn't have the most boxing stances. Not to say that he doesn't have fast hands, that he is a southpaw, and that is a southpaw notoriously has given Floyd problems in the past. But I just don't think that he'll be able to overcome all the boxing tools. Like someone said, oh well, he's going to be able to throw a Superman punch. I'm like, so how does a Superman punch work? It usually works off the switch for the leg kick, right? Which he's not going to be able to throw. So as soon as he sees
you can throw Superman punches in boxing.
No, you can't. But apparently for this fight, they will allow it. That's how crazy this whole thing is. Yes.
So they're going to do unified rules in a boxing match?
Apparently.
Wow. Okay.
I thought it was the weirdest thing ever that I heard that Conor would be able to throw a Superman punch. So I'm like, okay.
Steve. I found a very interesting analogy about this fight. Just concerning Conor in general, because in my opinion, I really think that's what it's going to come down to is Conor in this fight, and I think it's going to come down to how he really adjusts being in a boxing ring as opposed to a MMA cage or octagon, because a boxing ring, maybe 16 to 20 feet, as opposed to a octagon is 30 feet. And the reason why I say that is because I want to see how much of that space that he has. I want to see if that's going to limit him in terms of the stuff that he's going to try to do against Floyd. Like you say, apparently they're going to have him throwing Superman punches or going to allow him to throw Superman punches and all of this other stuff. I was going to see more of if he could implement more of that movement and that footwork that, he so-called tells everybody that he has against Floyd, as opposed to having to resort that MMA type movement and MMA striking in order to really hang with Floyd, and it'll just be interesting to see if he could actually do that in a boxing ring with so much limited space as opposed to if they were in the octagon. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think we all have our take on the match, but now as we get ready to end the interview with Kendall here tonight, what we typically do at the end of each interview is kind of throw the proverbial microphone over to you, Kendall. If there's anyone you would like to thank, training partners, teammates, shoot out your social media sites, websites, any charities you're working with, anything you want to say at all, about the fight or anything like that, the time is yours.
I just want to thank my gyms, my coaches, thank Brazilian Fight Factory over here in Austin, On Academy. I also want to thank R1 MMA back in Oklahoma, and then AKA Thailand, Mike Swift for having me out. And that's all I got. Just tune in June 30th and watch me dust this guy.
You got any predictions? Without giving too much of the game plan away, like how do you see it playing out for you, bro?
Stop him the punches. I don't think his chin is gonna hold up. He's 30 years old. I think he goes back and forth whether he wants to pursue this career or quit completely. And June 30th, I'll make a decision for him. I'll put him out of his misery.
Ooh, I like it. Confidence. I like it.
Fire coming out of Kendall right here. I love it. He's gonna make his decision for him. I love it, brother. All right.
Yeah, that's the line of the night right there.
Oh no, man! I don't know if it beats Daniel singing the Andrea. That might it's going to be hard to top that, but that was definitely fun right there.
Right.
Yeah, we need to get you on Twitter, Kendall. Regardless of if it's something that you use on a daily basis, we got to get you on there. It's sometimes you get to laugh at some of the stuff some of these idiots have to say. You just got to take it with a grain of salt.
Shit, I ain't had a Twitter since like middle school, but I guess I need to fire one up again. I don't know.
Well, no, it's not something like I said, it's not something you got to use every day. But being a fighter now, you're 5-0. You're starting to make some noise here. You're working with Shinn now. Yeah, you're fighting for one of the better middle tier regional promotions in the world in LFA. I think it's at least stuff for people to keep up with the MMA side of things. I know some people like to keep their private and professional social media accounts separate, but in this day and age, you definitely need to you need to have a Twitter if you're a fighter.
Hey, man, I'll probably have to do that password recovery link, and figure out how to even get it back.
Hey, man, like I said, even if you start a new one just for the fight game, and maybe it's something you don't really care about too much. It's not something like a lot of fighters, sometimes they have it and they don't even really use it, and then some of these guys when they get to the UFC or whatever, they everyone's like, oh, okay, well, what's your Twitter account? Because a lot of the promotional stuff that they do is via Twitter or Facebook or Snapchat or whatever. Don't have to be your cup of tea, but
I'm more of a Facebook, Instagram guy, but I guess so. Yeah, I know I need to open Twitter up too. You're right.
I mean, just like I said, it doesn't have to be something it's something you're going to use every day, but it's definitely something to invest in moving forward.
I agree.
All right, brother. Well, it was definitely a pleasure talking to you, Kendall. As I wish all our guests moving on to the next fight, best of skill to you. Hopefully you get out of there injury free. Hopefully you get that stoppage victory that you want, and we get to hopefully see you back in the LFA cage soon after, and start getting some bigger fights. Hopefully some open some eyes to who you are there, Kendall.
Yeah, sounds good. Appreciate you guys having me on.